Hi, good morning, everyone. All right. So, without wasting time, let's understand how we can implement the partial processing mechanism while we are performing a DML operation. So, I would go with the same program what we have already been created. So, let me try to go with developer console. And now, as you can see, this is that program which we have been using to understand a few other cases as well. Now, see, if you would study this program, you can find that we are trying to insert 100 new records inside the hiring manager object. Now, while we are trying to insert this, I have created a counter for this, and particularly when the value of counter becomes 99, for that time, this condition is going to get failed. The condition what is mentioned over here is the value of counter should not equals to 99, whereas the present value itself is 99. And so 99 not equals to 99 is obviously going to fail. So particularly for this condition, particularly for this condition, the contact number value is not going to be recorded. So the 99th record would be generated in such a way that it would have the value of name. It would also have the value of location, email ID, but it is not going to have the value of contact. Whereas if you go to the object, if you would go to the object and if you would try to see over there, we are going to find that contact number, by the way, is a mandatory field. Moreover, if you would expand force.com quick access menu and you would access the page layout, you are going to see that contact number is mandatory in both places. That means on the page layout as well as onto the database level. I have shown you this, that if a field is only required on a page layout, then you can even supply the value, or I mean, you can even create a record from the program. If this value is not supplied, even that doesn't make any issue while creating a record from the program. So this we already have studied, and this was a major difference between what actually happens when you make a field required from page layout, whereas if you would make it required by clicking onto the required checkbox. All right, that was the second part of discussion that already been half completed. Now because this field is required on the on the database level, and if you are not supplying the value, all right. So this record, the 99th record, was not going to be get created, but because I have used a conventional DML statement, which is atomic in nature, it does not provide the partial processing, and it does not have any tracking mechanism. So this whole transaction is going to be get failed, and no data out of this would going to be inserted. All right. So if you would go back to the hiring manager object, particularly, I let me try to see whether we have already something related to HR. HR records are already there, so I'll require to change this a little bit. Records in bulk. All right, so city would be fine, I guess. Yeah. Mm, yes. All right. All right. So I'll save this once again. Now see, if you would execute this program, yesterday we tried that. We got this error. The complete transaction was being rolled back because there was one of the mandatory condition, one of the mandatory field does not have the value because there was only one field. I mean, it was just one record which was failing, but then complete transaction was rolled back because we are using conventional DML statement. So what I'm going to do would be like, I'm not going to use this statement. Now, instead of this, instead of this, I'm going to make a use of database dot insert. I'm not going to make a use of insert only. I'll make a use of database dot insert. So because I wanted to allow the partial processing, instead of using the insert statement here, here, Shadab or Snehal, please off your camera. So I would be making a use of database dot insert, database dot insert. All right. So this I am going to make a use. Now see, if you would see to this, that database dot insert over here, right? Database dot insert over here have few different forms. Like, but in all of the cases, let's talk about the return type. This at the last, what you see after colon, right? Over here or over here or over here, in all of them, there's one thing which is common. Let's try to pick that thing first. In all of the cases, what you see is the return type. The return type of database dot insert is always list of database dot save result. All right, I'm going to explain this here. First, you identify the return type of database dot insert is list of database dot save result. That's another class, by the way. Even if I would take this version of, if I would take this version, again, this is, I mean, if I would take this version of database dot insert where I'm only supplying the list collection, like I'm going to supply uh, the collection what we have created, the collection we have created is LSTHR records, by the way. So if I would make a use of, for example, database dot insert, if I'll make a use of this, the first version, where we just require to give the name of that collection which we wanted to insert, the first one, that time as well, the return type is list of database or save result. If you would go with this one, list of S object, that means the list collection which you wanted to insert, along with the DML option, along with the DML option. All right, along with the DML option. In that case also, your return type is database.save result. If you would use this one, where it requires 3 parameters, see here it doesn't require any parameter. Here it requires 2 parameters, list collection along with one option. We're going to discuss that one for you. Here there are 3 parameters. Here there are 3 parameters like list collection, which you wanted to insert. Then there are the DML option along with the level of the access. All right, along with the level of the access. Then you again in that case also the return type is database list of database dot save result. If you would go with this, where there is a insert database dot insert along with a list collection and a boolean variable, all right, boolean variable, then also your return type is list of database dot save result. If you go with this one, database dot insert along with this object, I mean the list collection which you wanted to insert along with boolean and along with access level. So in all of them, actually, I'm going to use this one. I'm going to make a use of this one. Why I'm going to tell you that. In all of them, the return type is list of database dot save result. So for now, if I would use this, I mean, if I would make a use of this one, the first one, let's try to understand. If I'll make a use of this one, in all of them, in all other cases as well, so in all cases, my return type is going to be list of. Okay, my return type is going to be list of database dot save result. So one second, database dot save result. The list of database dot save result. एक minute, 1 second, guys. Yes. So in all of the cases, My return type is going to be list of database dot save result, and just give any name for that. So maybe results, right? Let me try to save up to this. I guess I have missed something. Database dot save result. That's okay. Understood. This is related to this. Fine, no problem. Hmm. See, so what is the purpose of database.save result? Let's first of all understand this because we are going to work on the different version of this as well. तो पहले हम इसको समझ लेते हैं. See, whenever you use database.insert, okay, whenever you would use database.insert, like example, if I would give the name of this collection over here, like if I would give the name of this collection, that means this is that collection which I wanted to insert, right? This is that collection which I wanted to insert. Using, I mean, instead of directly giving it inside the insert statement, right? जैसे मैंने पहले insert के साथ में दे दिया था. We collected every record. We collected every record. We have added them inside this collection, and this is that collection what we were trying to insert previously. Now, similarly, instead of using insert, I have used database.insert. Instead of using the plain insert statement, I have used database.insert over. So inside database.insert as well, I have given the name of that collection. I mean, this is that collection where I have collected all of the records which we have created, and I wanted to insert. So what happens is like, whenever insert, database.insert or update or anything, I mean, whenever it executes, it generates a result and it generates it individually. That means if, for example, if you are trying to insert 100 results, 100 records, so for every 100 of them, for every individual 100 of them, it would generate a result. Like what the, if say this is the first record, all right, let's consider the record in bulk one with detail Nagpur and this and this and that. That is record number one. Similarly, record number two. So when record number one would be getting inserted, that result would be generated for record number one, for record number two. And this happens for every one of them. This happens for every 100 of them because you are trying to insert 100 records. So this database dot insert, when you are giving a name of this collection, and for example, this collection right now is having how many records? They are having 100 records. This collection right now is having 100 records. Database.insert would insert them individually, one by one. And for every one of them, one result is getting generated. One result is getting generated. That result would indicate whether that record was being inserted successfully or if there is any error generated. Like for 98 record, from 1 to 90, there would be success. Particularly for 99th record, there would be an error. And again, for the 100, there would be success. So that success and that error is called as result. And because there are more than one result, now if I would ask you how many results are going to be get generated in this case, it would be 100. Results are 100. I'm not asking you success and fail. I'm, I'm just asking you result. There are 99 success and one fail result. We know this. We understand this program. But cumulatively, it is called as what? Result. So how many results are going to be get generated? 100 results. So because there are more than one results, and that's why they are collected inside list. So database.save result is that class which is used to collect the results. But because there are more than one results, you'll have to collect it inside a list collection. And if you want, you can even use, not just list collection. If you want, you can even use an array over here. I mean, the array is also fine. I mean, if I want, I can replace the like database dot save database dot save results. And I could make an array of this as well. Results equals to the same thing. This one. So you just have to define that type of, that type of what to say, that type of collection which could store more than one result. So we know that there are two forms of collection. एक तो है collection itself, list, set or map, और दूसरा है हमारा arrays. So even if you would define an array of this parameter, that would also work. दैट वुड ऑल्सो वर्क. लेकिन जब आप लिस्ट कलेक्शन डिफाइन करते हो तो वो ठीक है, अब वो आपकी फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी पर है, आप किस में ज्यादा कंफर्टेबल हो. इधर यू आर कंफर्टेबल इन दिस डिफाइनिंग डिफाइनिंग द लिस्ट ऑफ save result, or you are comfortable more in defining the array of save result, because both of them reflects to the same thing. We are getting more than one results over here, and every result needs to get stored. See, if it was just one result, I could even define a variable. If this was just a matter of one result, है ना, जो कि प्लेन इंसर्ट में होता है, प्लेन इंसर्ट में आपको एक ही स्टेटमेंट आती है, तो दैट वाज वन एरर. बट यहाँ पे कोई रिवर्सल मैकेनिज्म नहीं. So if it was a matter of storing just one result, I could even define a variable of this class. क्योंकि ऐसा नहीं है, यहाँ पे individual results आते हैं. If you are trying to insert 100 records, for every 100 of them, there would be a success or fail. But whatever it is result, and this has to be get stored. That's why that's why we have defined either list or array. We can define that. Okay. Now why I have commented this out? Why I have commented this out? Because वी आर, हाँ चलो, अब ये एक बात हो गई, ये वाला पार्ट खत्म हो गया आपका. ठीक है, ये वाला पार्ट खत्म. चाहे आप लिस्ट डिफाइन करो, चाहे आप सेट अपना एरे डिफाइन करो, मुद्दे वाली बात ये है कि हमको एक से ज्यादा रिजल्ट्स मिलने वाले हैं, बिकॉज वी आर ट्राइंग टू इंसर्ट मोर देन वन रिकॉर्ड. हम 100 रिकॉर्ड्स इंसर्ट करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. सो वी आर ऑब्वियसली गोइंग टू गेट 100 रिजल्ट्स. अब वो रिजल्ट चाहे फेल हो या सक्सेस हो, उससे हमें कोई लेना देना नहीं. मतलब ये है कि जितने रिकॉर्ड्स आप इंसर्ट कर रहे हैं, उतने आपको रिजल्ट्स आने. ठीक है. Because there are more than one of them, that's why I could define either an array of that to store all of them. I could define an array, or either I could define a list collection. That's up to you, which you are more comfortable to use. So that was this part. Now this discussion ended. चलो अब इस पे आते हैं. So I have shown you that database.insert have multiple forms. Database.insert have multiple forms. Right? ठीक है. If you would use this statement, if you would use this statement, if you would use this statement, okay, if you would use this statement, wherein you have not given any parameter along with database.insert. Please write it down. I guess this has been written. Let's see. I guess this already has been written. This is what I'm trying to explain you. This is what I'm trying to explain you, right? But I mean, this has been written, but not in a proper form. थ्योरी मैंने कुछ लिखी नहीं है यहाँ पे, तो आप उसको समझ लो और आप से देख लेना, लिख लेना. So if you would use this version of database.insert where you have written database.insert and inside in bracket, you just have given a parameter, only one parameter. And by the way, that parameter is what? The collection which we wanted to get inserted. The collection which we wanted to get inserted. Then what happens in this case? Then what happens in this case? See, this is as good as database.insert. This is as good as database.insert. There is no difference between insert. There's one difference between insert and database.insert with only one parameter. Without any Boolean parameter, I could say. This statement right now, when you have written database.insert along with only one parameter, and which is, by the way, that collection which we wanted to insert. So this would going to work. This would going to work as good as your insert. How? how this also is atomic in nature. This also would maintain transaction, right? This also would maintain transaction. This also maintains transaction. This does not provide you partial processing. This would also not going to provide you partial processing. This is atomic in nature. This is also atomic in nature. That means if you are using an insert statement and you replace that with database.insert, but then you just have given the name of that collection which you wanted to insert, both statements, like these two statements, are going to work in the same manner. The only difference over here is, like, if you would give it in along with insert, insert does not have any tracking mechanism, doesn't have any return type so far. Insert doesn't have any return type. Like wherever if we have used or wherever we are using any DML statement, all of them are atomic. It does not have any return type, by the way. You don't have to mention anything beyond equals to. But this has a return type. That means you can track the results. What is going to be the outcome of this, that could be tracked. But see, this is the only difference. There is no return type for your conventional DML statement. It does not return anything. It does not have any tracking mechanism. But if you would execute it along with database.insert, although all hundreds are going to be get failed, but at least you would have 100 results over here, which, later on I could fire a query on this class, because that's a list collection. This is, we have defined a collection. I could iterate them. I could design a I could I could iterate them with enhanced for loop, and I could list out all of the results. What happens to all 100 records? Here I cannot do that. That is the only difference. But in operation point of view, both of them are same. In operation point of view, both of them are same. If you would give insert collection name, and otherwise if you would give database.insert collection name, both are going to be work in the same manner. But we don't want that, right? We don't want that. We don't want that. All right. If you don't want that, what we want? Chalo. Let's discuss the another form of this. Let's discuss the another form of this. What happens with this case? What happens with this case? If I would give database.insert, if I would give database.insert with this one, basically we are going to use this one, where there are two parameters. The first is that list collection which you wanted to insert. All right, let me replace it with LSTHR records. LSTHR records is that collection where we have collected all of the records which we wanted to insert. We have added everything inside that we wanted to insert that. Then there is a Boolean parameter, all or nothing, right? All or nothing. So if I would give like true over here, Boolean only have two values, true or false. True or false. If I would go, I would give true over here. If I would give true over here, right? If I would give true over here, again it would going to work in the same way. The way this would work, right? The way this would work or the way this would work. This work like atomic in nature. This also work like atomic in nature. This is also going to work in the same way. This does not provide you any partial processing. This would also not going to provide you any partial processing, and this again would not going to provide you any partial processing. Huh. There's one thing which is common between them two is, like, both of them are going to collect the results. This is not capable to collect the result. But again, we don't want. What we want? We want partial processing. We want partial processing. So if we wanted the partial processing, we are again not going to make a use of this. So what we are going to use this? Now see why I am extending this, because people, whenever, let me tell you, let 1 second. मैं बोलता हूँ इस बारे में, पहले मुझे इस डिस्कशन को मुकम्मल करने दो यार. We are going to use for particularly, let me write down a comment over here. to allow the partial processing while committing the DML operation. So if you are committing a DML operation, if you're trying to perform a DML operation, and during in that course, if you wanted to allow the partial processing, then what you have to use? You have to use database.insert along with two parameters. You have to use database.insert along with two parameters. Along with two parameters. The first is that list collection where the records are being collected, which we wanted to insert, and the second parameter, as false. Second parameter as false. This is very important. This is very important. Now see, अभी एक बात मेरी बहुत ध्यान से सुनो. इंटरव्यू में हो सकता है बस तो पूछते हैं. कल ही मेरे सामने एक इंटरव्यू हुआ है जिसमें क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है. कल की बात है. अब कैसे हुआ कोई गलत. खैर, मैं आपको जो आंसर देने जा रहा हूँ, मतलब इवन ये जब मैंने आरसी स्विच किया था तो ये क्वेश्चन मेरे को भी पूछा गया था. सो द इन दैट वे विच आई हैव गिवन द आंसर, वो आप थोड़ा ध्यान से सुनो. क्वेश्चन था कि व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन इंसर्ट एंड डेटाबेस डॉट इंसर्ट. डेटाबेस डॉट इंसर्ट एंड इंसर्ट स्टेटमेंट. अब इसका कॉमन आंसर तो यही है कि आप व्हेन एवर यू गिव एन इंसर्ट स्टेटमेंट, जो हमने सब पढ़ा अभी तक कि भाई ठीक है, इंसर्ट्स आर एटॉमिक, इट डज नॉट हैव एनी रिटर्न टाइप, they doesn't provide you partial processing, they maintain the transaction, and because there is no return type, there is no tracking mechanism, right? So if you are what happens to the individual record, that cannot be tracked because database.save result is not applicable. But when you do go with database.insert, I mean, instead of insert, if you go with database.insert, or instead of update, if you go with database.update, instead of delete, if you go with database.delete. So that DML, if it is replaced with database class methods, what is the difference? Ideally, he was expecting यही same चीज है जो मैंने, मतलब जो एक normal answer है जो हर कोई बोलता है. But I wanted you to give this in another way. I wanted you to give this in another way. If you would say in this manner, then it's going to become very, very, very impressive. When you are saying that, if when you are saying to them, or when he has asked you this question, what is the difference between insert and database dot insert? Then you have to set, I mean, you'll have to start your answer by saying those limitations of DMLs, which we have studied. First of all, describe them. So what you can see, there's a way to elaborate the answer. There's a way to elaborate the answer. And for that, you must have a confidence, right? Whatever happens in interview, don't think of the result. What happens, see, why we feel that anxiety whenever we give that nervousness, how how is to overcome that. The plain phenomenon to overcome those, what to say for that. वो जो डर रहता है हमारे दिल में, जो nervousness है, because we always think about results. We don't want it to get failed in every move. Wherever you are in a urge to succeed, then you start fearing. The main reason why we feel that anxiety is all because we are thinking of the result. Don't think of life. आप बताओ ना मुझको, जब जब तक आपको गिरने का डर नहीं था तब तक आपको ऊंचाइयों से भी डर नहीं लगा. जिस दिन आपको पता चला कि मैं गिरता हूं मुझे चोट लगती है, उस दिन से आपको ऊंचाइयों से डर लगा. दिस इज अ फैक्ट. This is that basic phobia by which we feel that fear, we have that fear in our heart. Don't think about result. What worse could be happen? What the worst could be happen? That interview is going, I mean, they are going to reject you. No problem. No problem. They are not the only one. who's going to become your employer. There are so many of them. There are thousands of the companies. All right, we don't have just options in hundred. We have the options in thousands. So why to worry? Why to worry? That is my biggest question. So for my mentorship, whenever I used to say to this, okay, why to worry? So your answer should be that much elaborated. So what you can say to them is like, first of all, let me tell you, majorly what are the drawbacks, what are the limitation with a DML statement. So DMLs are what जो भी हमने पढ़ा, they are atomic in nature. It does they maintain the transactions. They does not provide you the partial processing, and they don't have any individual tracking mechanism. You can get the result, but that isn't wholesome result. And what is that wholesome? Either the entire record is going to be get committed, or the entire transaction is going to be get failed. The whole batch, the complete batch of the records, whether it's going to be get committed, या फिर पूरा का पूरा fail होगा. Now that was related to DML. Let's talk about database.insert. अभी आपने पूछा है कि insert और database.insert. So database.insert, it's again is having three different versions. Again is having three different versions, and two of them are very similar to database. Two of them are very similar to insert. Like if you would give database.insert along with just one parameter, the collection name which you wanted to get insert, majorly there are no differences apart from one thing, that it's going to save the individual result. Technically, there are rest all other things are same. It is atomic in nature. It will going to maintain the transaction. It doesn't provide you the partial processing. If you would use the database.insert with, if you give two parameters, like one of them would be the collection, and second, if you go to a Boolean true, again it is going to be the same. Again, it is going to be the same. It would become atomic in nature. It doesn't provide you partial processing. It maintains the transaction. The only difference, it would save the result, individual result. So particularly, if we wanted to apply the partial processing mechanism, where if a certain record would get failed, only that record should be get ignored and rest all others should be get committed, then compulsory, we have to use this version where database.insert, first parameter is the name of collection, second parameter should be Boolean false. Boolean false. If you give Boolean true, doesn't makes that partial processing. If you don't give a parameter, that also doesn't make. So particularly if you wanted to have partial processing, then give that second parameter as false. This is very essential. So if you would give answer in this way, nobody can reject you. Nobody can, because he was only expecting one thing. वो सिर्फ एक ही चीज एक्सपेक्ट कर रहा था, जबकि आपने उसको पूरा डिटेल से एक्सप्लेन करके बताया है ना. That's the important reason. That's the important reason. All right. So like this is what we achieve. This is how like we achieve uh, the partial processing. Now let me execute this program. Let me execute this program. So yesterday we have tried by inserting, we get that error. Now how many records are there inside in hiring manager? If I would see the count, I have 1161 records. I can even get it from by firing a query as well. You can do what is like select count from hiring manager. That would also give you to give the same result. So there are 1161 records over here. Now, if after inserting 100, that should be increased by 100, obviously, right? So let me try to do that DML. So DML utility and the name of method is insert bulk records. Let me execute this and see. We get the result, right? This has been executed, and that's why we got this debug log, right? If you go over here, you can see that there's only one DML fired, by the way, out of 150, and out of 10,000, what we can insert, we have inserted 100 units. So now if I would export the same thing, this count is going to become 1261, I guess. 1260, 560, I don't know. But at least 100 records have been inserted, right? So that is what has been happening. So this is the way, guys, this is the way we could go for the partial processing. बट जस्ट डोंट हैव दिस इंप्रेशन कि अगर आप डेटाबेस डॉट इंसर्ट ले लोगे तो पार्शियल प्रोसेसिंग आ जाती, नहीं नहीं, दैट डिपेंड्स which version of database dot insert you are using. Because if you are using database dot insert and you are not giving any boolean parameter, you are just giving the name of that collection, it is same. It won't provide you partial processing. Even with the second parameter as true, that would again work as same, right? Only and only if the second parameter is particularly false. If the second parameter is false, then you are going to get facilitated with this partial processing. Otherwise, and if you would explain this in an interview like this, nobody can reject you. No one of them can reject you. All right. So that's all for today. That's all for today. So tomorrow I would going to take this delete. Then there's a program to undelete, then update. All right, let's take it. Yes, let me give you this command. You can now unmute yourself. Any questions? Any questions?
सर
Mm-hmm.
आपने जो फॉर लूप लगाया है काउंटर 100 का, और आपने एक कंडीशन दिया है इफ काउंटर इज नॉट इक्वल्स टू 19, नॉट इक्वल्स टू 99, तो
Mm-hmm.
सर वो एक छोड़ के बाकी सब एग्जीक्यूट होगा, राइट?
Mm-hmm.
मतलब वो 99 वाला नहीं होगा, बाकी सारा एग्जीक्यूट हो जाएगा।
Let me extend this discussion. रिजल्ट भी अभी हमने रिजल्ट्स कलेक्ट किया है सेव रिजल्ट में, so let me,
हम्म।
तो मैं वो भी दिखा देता हूँ जो आप, ठीक है. So after executing this, as I have told you that results have been collected inside. I mean, we have defined a list collection for that. Let me now show you that as well. ठीक है, तो हम इस डिस्कशन को आगे लेके जाते हैं. And now to get each result, so I'm designing a for loop. ठीक है, I'm designing a for loop. Now this for loop I'm going to design on results, because that is also a collection of result. Now collection, so individual record, the record type is database.save result over here, right? And let me give any local name for that. So it would be this. So I am iterating this. All of the results which have been collected, there are 100 results inside them. I'm iterating them. So I have used an enhanced for loop over here, and I'm going to iterate individually every one of them. So if res dot, see, these are the methods like is success, errors, like so majorly we use is success and errors, or get errors as well. So based on that, we're going to find kya hua. So if res dot is success would always give those records which have been committed. Is success would always give those, मुझे यहाँ पे change करना पड़ेगा थोड़ा बहुत, but we'll do that. Is success would always give those records which have been committed, जो मतलब when you fetch is success, that actually means we are fetching those records that are inserted, because insert लिया इसलिए that are inserted successfully, because I am accessing is success. ठीक है, रिजल्ट में से मैं कौन सा पार्ट देख रहा हूँ, is success, जो कि सक्सेस हुआ है. तो क्योंकि यहाँ मैंने इंसर्ट किया है तो मैंने स्टेटमेंट लिखा रिकॉर्ड्स दैट आर इंसर्टेड सक्सेसफुली. सो लेट मी गो विद सिस्टम डॉट डीबग. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ऐसा बोलता हूँ मैं कि रिकॉर्ड इज इंसर्टेड सक्सेसफुली, एंड देन सिस्टम डॉट डीबग. अगर रिकॉर्ड इंसर्ट हुआ है तो रिकॉर्ड आईडी भी जनरेट हुआ होगा, रिकॉर्ड आईडी इक्वल्स टू, ठीक है, रिकॉर्ड आईडी इक्वल्स टू जो नया रिकॉर्ड जनरेट हुआ उसका. सो आर ई एस डॉट get ID. This would return me, this would return me the newly inserted records ID. उसका ID देगा मुझे. Else, अगर मैं else पे आता हूँ, if I'm coming on the else, तो else पे आने का मतलब है कि आपका रिकॉर्ड जनरेट, आपका जो, इफ यू आर कमिंग ऑन टू एल्स, दिस मीन्स कि इंसर्शन फेल हुआ है, राइट. आपका जो इंसर्शन है वो फेल हो चुका है. तो यहाँ पे फिर इस सक्सेस जो है उसकी वैल्यू फॉल्स आई है. मतलब यहाँ पे मैंने क्वेश्चन पूछा है कि इफ इज सक्सेस, दिस वुड रिटर्न गोइंग टू रिटर्न मी अ बूलियन थिंग, या तो ट्रू या फॉल्स. अगर ट्रू है तो मैं इस ब्लॉक में आता हूँ, और फॉल्स है मतलब इस सक्सेस यानी फॉल्स हुआ है, यानी ये फेल हुआ है. फेल हुआ है तो सबसे पहले मेरा कमेंट, जैसे यहाँ पर मैंने कमेंट लिखा, रिकॉर्ड्स आर इंसर्टेड सक्सेसफुल डाटा, रिकॉर्ड्स आर इंसर्टेड. तो अब मैं यहाँ पे इसी को थोड़ा सा मॉडिफाई कर देता हूँ. यहाँ पर आने का मतलब होता है रिकॉर्ड्स आर फेल्ड, रिकॉर्ड्स आर फेल्ड टू इंसर्ट. ठीक है. तो जो रिकॉर्ड्स अगर फेल हुए हैं, बाय द वे, सो हाउ आई एम गोइंग टू, जो रिकॉर्ड फेल हुआ है तो वो क्यों फेल हुआ है, हमें उसका एरर कोड चाहिए. हमें उसका एरर मैसेज, एरर कोड, मतलब मुझे एरर्स को एक्सेस करना है. सो आई वांटेड टू एक्सेस द एरर. तो एरर के लिए एक दूसरी क्लास भी मौजूद है हमारे पास में, जिसको हम बोलते हैं डेटाबेस डॉट एरर. दिस वुड टिपिकली स्टोर ऑल एरर्स, एंड बिकॉज देयर कुड बी मोर देन वन. यहाँ तो एक ही रिजल्ट फेल हो रहा है मेरा, यहाँ तो एक ही रिजल्ट फेल हो रहा है, 99th वाला. बट हो सकता है रियल टाइम में एक से ज्यादा रिजल्ट. तो रियल टाइम कोडिंग के हिसाब से या आप इसका लिस्ट कलेक्शन बना लो या एरे बना लो, जैसा मैंने बनाया है. तो आपको इसका हमेशा लिस्ट कलेक्शन या एरे बनाना चाहिए. ठीक है, वेरिएबल मत बनाओ. यहाँ मैं वेरिएबल बना सकता था, लेकिन आज मैं अगर वेरिएबल बना दूंगा इसका, ये बोल के कि देखो एक ही रिजल्ट फेल हो रहा है, तो हो सकता है आगे चल के आप सेम तरह से कोड करने की कोशिश करोगे. रियल टाइम पे ऐसा जरूरी नहीं कि एक ही रिकॉर्ड फेल हो, मल्टीपल रिकॉर्ड्स फेल होंगे, मल्टीपल एरर्स रहेंगे. इसलिए मल्टीपल एरर्स रहेंगे तो या तो आप अरे डिफाइन कर लो या फिर इसका लिस्ट कलेक्शन डिफाइन. मतलब आप चाहो तो ऐसे इसका लिस्ट कलेक्शन भी डिफाइन कर सकते हो. तो चाहो, अब आपको दोनों में से जो सही लगता है वो कर लो आप. ठीक है, बात एक ही है. एरर्स इक्वल्स टू, सो आर ई एस, जैसे आपने लिखा आर ई एस डॉट इज सक्सेस, है ना, आर ई एस डॉट इज सक्सेस, आर ई एस डॉट गेट आई डी. सेम आपको हर बार रेफर करना है आर ई एस से ही. सो आर ई एस डॉट, आर ई एस डॉट नहीं दे रहा है, ठीक है कोई बात नहीं. गेट एरर्स, आर ई एस डॉट गेट एरर, ये मेथड दिस मेथड वुड गोइंग टू, दिस मेथड वुड गोइंग टू रिटर्न दी एरर्स. दिस मेथड, जैसे कि ये सक्सेस जो है ये बताता है कितने सक्सेस हुए हैं. In the same way, this would going to give you the all of the errors that has been generated. हमारी केस में एक ही जनरेट हो रहा है, स्टिल आई एम कलेक्टिंग इट इनसाइड लिस्ट कलेक्शन. ये बेस्ट प्रैक्टिस है. अदरवाइज यहाँ पे मैं इसका एक वेरिएबल भी डिफाइन कर सकता था. मतलब मैं चाहता तो इसको देखो ऐसा भी ले सकता था, और ये बिल्कुल सही होता, ये आपको एरर भी नहीं देता. लेट मी ट्राई टू सेव दिस एज वेल. क्यों? क्योंकि हमारी केस में एक ही एरर जनरेट होता है. ठीक है, 1 सेकेंड, शायद ये एरर इसका रिटर्न टाइप लिस्ट कलेक्शन, इलीगल असाइनमेंट, यस यस. नहीं, ये इलीगल असाइनमेंट है, लिस्ट टू डेटाबेस डॉट एरर. आप यहाँ पे वेरिएबल नहीं डिफाइन कर सकते, सॉरी. आपको यहाँ पे या तो कलेक्शन ही होना है, और या फिर आपको यहाँ पे अरेज ही होना है. ठीक है, चलो लेट मी नाउ ट्राई टू सेव दिस. ऑलराइट, फिर अभी तो पॉइंट ऑफ डिस्कशन है ही नहीं, आप फिर डिस्कशन का कोई जरूरत ही नहीं है. दिस ऑलवेज हैव टू बी अ कलेक्शन. रिटर्न टाइप फॉर गेट एरर्स ऑलवेज हैव टू बी अ कलेक्शन. चलो, there's no point to discuss that. Now everything we have collected inside this error, and let me now iterate this. अभी मैं इसको iterate करता हूँ, and we're going to list out all of the errors. So for every errors, for every errors, ठीक है, हर errors, where the where the data type is database dot error, where the data type is data. Let me give any local name for that. पहले क्या दिया है मैंने, res, ठीक है, err. We're going to iterate them. Okay, we're going to iterate them one by one. So system dot debug. एरर में तीन चीजें होती है, मैसेज, स्टेटस, और आई गेस फील्ड होता है. एक मिनट देख लेता हूँ. एरर मैसेज इक्वल्स टू प्लस ई आर आर डॉट, ई आर आर, हाँ, फील्ड्स होती है, मैसेज होता है, स्टेटस कोड. दीज आर इंपॉर्टेंट, दीज आर इंपॉर्टेंट. ठीक है. So I'm going for message, I'm using get message, then system dot debug error status code equals to plus err dot get status code और get fields. fields would बताता है कि कौन से फील्ड पे एरर आया हुआ. सिस्टम डॉट डी पर एरर field equals to plus err dot get fields. ठीक है. And if you want you can even you can even use others as well, but इतना काफी होता है. एरर मैसेजेस जो डिस्प्ले होते हैं हमको, अभी आप देख लोगे, सिमिलैरिटी आपको समझ में आएगा. उसमें तीन चीजें मेन होती है: स्टेटस कोड, मैसेज और फील्ड की इंफॉर्मेशन. नाउ लेट मी मेक चेंजेस इन द डेटा. Class 208. Hmm. So see, I have executed database.insert with second parameter as false, so it would provide me a facility of partial processing. Now this entire thing has been collected inside result. ठीक है. Results would contain all of them. जितने भी सक्सेस है और जितने भी फेल्ड है. नाउ आई वांटेड टू इटरेट देम सेपरेटली, सो मैंने फिर यहाँ पर एक फॉर लूप यूज किया. नाउ इज इनसाइड इन दिस फॉर लूप, inside in this for loop, so I first of all have iterated results, and every individual record over here inside in this collection result is having a data type of database.save result, because you have defined data list of database.save result. So that is mentioned over here. Then I have defined a local variable res. Now if res would give me is success is a defined function. So if res would give me success, it would obviously give me those records which are where the status is success, which have been inserted, which have been committed. So I would print a message with individual of them, and I will also print the ID. I mean, if records are getting inserted, they would contain an ID, right? So this record was inserted, this is the ID. This record and this happens with जितने भी insert हो जाएंगे properly. अगर ऐसा नहीं होता है, for example, if this does not work, इसका मतलब रिकॉर्ड जो है आपको फेल हुआ है. ठीक है. अगर ये नहीं हुआ है तो आपका रिकॉर्ड जो है वो फेल हो चुका है. नाउ इफ द रिकॉर्ड इज फेल, अगर रिकॉर्ड आपको फेल हो चुका है, ठीक है, रिकॉर्ड आपको फेल हो चुका है, तो अब आपका फेल होने का मतलब है एरर्स जनरेट हो. तो एरर्स आर ऑलवेज कलेक्टेड इनसाइड एन सेपरेट क्लास कॉल्ड एज डेटाबेस डॉट एरर. ठीक है. तो डेटाबेस डॉट एरर्स का मैंने एक लिस्ट कलेक्शन डिफाइन किया, और आरईएस हमारा जो फंक्शन है, ठीक है, आरईएस, तो आरईएस डॉट या तो मैं इस सक्सेस लूंगा या फिर मैं गेट एरर्स लूंगा. अगर सक्सेस नहीं है तो एरर्स लेना है, तो एरर्स के लिए फंक्शन है गेट एरर्स. नाउ गेट एरर ऑलवेज हैव अ रिटर्न टाइप एज लिस्ट ऑफ डेटाबेस डॉट एरर. ठीक है. लिस्ट ऑफ डेटाबेस डॉट एरर्स. तो मैंने ऐसे जितने भी फेलियर रिजल्ट्स हैं वो सारे कलेक्ट करे, एंड देन वी हैव स्टोर्ड इट इनसाइड अ कलेक्शन ऑफ अ लिस्ट कलेक्शन ऑफ डेटाबेस डॉट एरर्स, और उसका एक लोकल वेरिएबल. तो अब यहाँ तो एक ही हो रहा है, बट आप मान के चलो कि एक से ज्यादा है. तो वो सारे हमने जमा कर ली यहाँ. उसके बाद आई हैव इटरेटेड देम, वन बाय वन उसको इटरेट किया. ठीक है. तो एरर्स में तीन चार चीजें रहती हैं. जब आप एरर डिस्प्ले करते हो तो क्या क्या डिस्प्ले करते हो, तो उसमें तीन चार चीजें रहती हैं. सो आई हैव डिस्प्लेड लाइक, जैसे मतलब यहाँ पे आपने देखा कि मैंने ई आर आर डॉट लिखा हूँ, तो आप वो फील्ड इंफॉर्मेशन, उसके बाद मैसेज, स्टेटस कोड, ये सब मेन चीजें रहती है. तो हमने वही डिस्प्ले किया है. मैंने एक तो एरर के साथ में क्या मैसेज है वो, एरर के साथ में उसका स्टेटस कोड क्या है. जैसे आपने देखा 151 या वन 101, ये सब देखा आपने, जो दीज आर कॉल्ड स्टेटस कोड. टू मेनी डीएमएल स्टेटमेंट, ये मैसेज है. एंड सिस्टम डॉट लिमिट एक्सेप्शन, ठीक है, ये मैसेज है पूरा. सिस्टम डॉट लिमिट एक्सेप्शन, टू मेनी डीएमएल स्टेटमेंट्स, एरर कोड 151 है ना, दीज आर एवरीथिंग. और अगर कोई फील्ड लेवल पे, तो उसमें फील्ड पे जो आता है, जैसे कंपलसरी एक मैंडेटरी फील्ड हैज बीन मिस्ड, तो कल हमने एक एरर देखा तो उसमें फील्ड की इंफॉर्मेशन थी. तो जब भी हम एरर डिस्प्ले करते हैं तो तीन मेजर चीजें रहती हैं उसमें. एक तो मैसेज, दूसरा उसका स्टेटस कोड, और कौन सी फील्ड पे वो एरर जनरेट हुआ है. ठीक है. सो लेट मी ट्राई टू डू दिस. ठीक है, लेट्स एग्जीक्यूट दिस वंस अगेन। वन सेकंड। ठीक है, चलो ऐसा भी चलेगा। ठीक, रिकॉर्ड नंबर वन इंसर्टेड सक्सेसफुली, ये उसकी आईडी है, ये उसकी आईडी है, ठीक है। एंड दिस गोज टिल द लास्ट। लास्ट में जब मैं आता हूँ 99th नंबर रिकॉर्ड पे, तो आप देख सकते हैं 90, इसके पहले का जो रिकॉर्ड था 98 रिकॉर्ड, रिकॉर्ड इज इंसर्टेड, ये वॉज लिखना चाहिए था मेरे को, रिकॉर्ड वॉज इंसर्टेड। एनीवे, ये उसका आईडी है। ये 98 तक चला। 99th वाले रिकॉर्ड पे क्या हुआ? अच्छा, उसके 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 भी पहले 100 वाला रिकॉर्ड, वो भी देख लो आप। 100 वाला रिकॉर्ड थोड़ा सा ठीक से स्क्रॉल नहीं हो रहा है। 100 वाला रिकॉर्ड भी इंसर्ट हो गया है, ठीक है। 90 99th वाला जो रिकॉर्ड है, उसके साथ क्या हुआ? एरर मैसेज, ये मैसेज है, रिक्वायर्ड फील्ड इज मिसिंग। उसके बाद फील्ड का इंफॉर्मेशन भी है। वैसे फील्ड का इंफॉर्मेशन यहाँ पर भी आता है आपके पास में। और इसका जो स्टेटस कोड है, बिकॉज इसके लिए कोई स्टेटस कोड होता नहीं है ऐसा, जैसे वहां पे 101 है, 151 है। यहाँ पे सिर्फ स्टेटस कोड में उसने क्या लिख के दिया? रिक्वायर्ड फील्ड ऐसे। अदरवाइज ये कुछ डीएमएल का होता है या फिर एसक्यूएल का होता है, तो यहाँ पे कोड आता है, जैसे आपने देखा 101, 151, ये सारे कोड्स हैं, और ऐसे बहुत सारे कोड्स और भी हैं। बट इसके लिए कोई कोड नहीं है, तो यहाँ पे सिर्फ लिख के आ रहा है रिक्वायर्ड फील्ड इज मिसिंग। ये होता है इस तरह से, लाइक यू कैन कैप्चर। तो वैसे तो रियल टाइम में कोडिंग यही होती है, मतलब हम सक्सेस और एरर दोनों को कैप्चर करते हैं। सक्सेस को हम इस सक्सेस फंक्शन से कैप्चर करते हैं, और एरर्स को गेट एरर से कैप्चर करते हैं। एंड वी सेंड आउट दिस इंफॉर्मेशन, और वी रादर स्टोर दिस इंफॉर्मेशन समवेयर, सो दैट हमारे पास में एक लॉग रहे, हमारे पास में एक लॉग रहे कि कितना डेटा कमिट हुआ और कितना फेल हुआ है। एंड दैट वाज द रीजन व्हाई वी हैव यूजिंग database dot insert, and database dot insert have this return type. Now clear?
Yes, sir.
All right, so go with this
Thank
program,
you.
by the way. Hmm, ठीक है। Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? All right, then. Thank you so much for joining.